No? Thank you, Lillian. Taitumu?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Taitumu and others, those who want to speak, stop menacing the Speaker with hand gestures. I can see you and I'll give you a chance to speak.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I arise to support the bill. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the committee. First of all, when I went through the document, I saw 203 entities were given an opportunity to present their views in connection or in relation to the bill. The committee listened to their views objectively and made various adjustments to the clauses that were punitive to the Kenyans and mainly the Mamboga and other citizens of this country. Mr. Speaker, I have heard you make several pronouncements that those who have amendments, they tender their amendments before 1 tomorrow. This is to say that the bill is tendered or the bill is brought to the parliament so that the members can get an opportunity to make an amendment and not to reject that are meant for the posterity of this country. Mr. Speaker, this government inherited and disjointed education structure that requires massive and colossal amounts of money to make it raw. One, Mr. Speaker, 46,000 teachers are about to transition from the interns to JSS to permanent and personal basis. Mr. Speaker, the clauses that were unbarred were dropped, others were amended to make sure that this bill benefits the citizens of this country. Young Kenyans have jammed our phones with the messages of reject. But when you engage them by asking them to expound on the reasons as to why we should reject, some go mute. Majority of them go mute. The reason is that they have been confused. They have been poisoned because the truth is being laced with poison. But the truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, is that this bill is progressive. It is progressive in the sense that punitive clauses that would have affected these Kenyans were removed. For instance, the motor circulation tax was removed. This one would have drastically affected the Mamboga, anybody who uses the vehicle, those who transport the cabbages, the tomatoes and the rest, or those who use even provox and other modes of transportation to make sure that their merchandise reach the market. Mr. Speaker, this is the first time when the salaried people will have pay as you earn deducted after the statutory deductions have removed. This one will have a positive index on their net pay. And for this reason, it shows that this bill is good. Taxes on mobile phones transfers, they have remained as they were, and they have not been handled as it is seriously exaggerated. On VAT on financial services for foreign exchanges, Mr. Speaker, those transactions, those exchanges have also remained as they were. VAT on bread, Mr. Speaker, it was very contentious. But in the wisdom of committee, through the advice and the democratic space that it gave the stakeholders of this country, the experts, the professionals, and even faith-based organizations, they saw it worthy to have it removed. The eco levy and other levies that were not necessary to be levied on Kenyans were removed. Mr. Speaker, this country requires money.
Thank you, Taitumu. Member for Kiminini.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Representing the good people of Kiminini, we know that this finance bill is supposed to be a mechanism to raise funds for the government programs. However, if the government widens the taxation mechanism that affects the people, then I have a right to represent my people and indicate where it's not right. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we must reduce and rationalize our expenditure. We must live within our means. Looking at this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, we completely left out the principle of a sovereign state whereby the Bretton Woods are the ones dictating what we have to put in our budget. Someone sitting in Washington and the IMF does not really understand the pain that the local Kenyan goes through by inflicting a specific taxation on bread, things like sanitary pads, an example. And I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, it is also important that the templates that have been provided by the World Bank, which have worked in other countries like Croatia or wherever, using those templates in Kenya, it cannot work. So it is very clear that, Mr. Speaker, and again, looking at the other side of the House, if you look at something like diapers, you expect that having mostly the younger generation on that side will take care of basic items like diapers. This morning, Mr. Speaker, I saw the presentation by the majority leader, which listed 4 companies that are producing diapers and even sanitary pads. But figures don't lie. If you look at those 4 companies, they are not able to meet the demand of the sanitary pads or the diapers that are produced in this republic, meaning that majority of those items that are used in this republic are actually imported. What I would have expected from this bill, Mr. Speaker, is for the bill to also state good mechanism where we're encouraging even manufacturers to come in and manufacture locally. Basically, what this bill has done is to try and protect some local manufacturers and, of course, not promoting competency or proactiveness. We should not, in the spirit of protecting local manufacturers, try to put more taxes, especially on critical items like this. And Mr. Speaker, this reminds me in 1775, between the month of April and May, where we had, within the month, we had over 300 riots, which were actually the bread riots. And yesterday, we've seen actually people hitting the streets because of that. And I'll not be surprised, Mr. Speaker, if we don't panel beat this and ensure that we have a good financial bill whereby we will make history as the first country, not just on the continent, but globally, where we will have riots of diapers or sanitary clothes. So, Mr. Speaker, my expectation from this presentation, we having a lot of minerals. We've got iron ore, we've got copper, graphite, magnesia, nickel, all this we have. I would expect that there are smarter ways of seeing on how we can really utilize and take advantage of our natural resources. An example, Mr. Speaker, I'd also expect that on items that are costing,
have opposed this bill, but because of the amendments that has been reflected in the report of the committee, I will support the bill purely based on the proposed amendments by the committee. Honorable Speaker, there were acrimonious, there were contentious clauses in that particular bill. But Honorable Speaker, courtesy of the amendment, The members of the public were told about the 2.5%. Honorable Speaker, that proposed amendment by the committee is the one I support. Honorable Speaker, I have read the report in its entirety, the voluminous report. Honorable Speaker, the 2.5% on the issue of tax on motor vehicle has been deleted pursuant to the opinion of the public. Honorable Speaker, I commend the committee led by Kimani Kuria. Honorable Speaker, they said that the 2.5% was based on the Income Tax Act. Honorable Speaker, they said the Income Tax Act only deals with income and not assets as the motor vehicle. Honorable Speaker, that is the reason why I support. Honorable Speaker, second reason. This year, the Committee on Budget proposed certain fundamental amendments, and they brought a budget for this House. One of the issues led by Ndindi Nyoro was the issue of equality in terms of allocation of resources insofar as electricity is concerned. Honorable Speaker, every constituency was given 50 million. I saw my friends from the other aisle supporting that proposal. But Honorable Speaker, the question is this: how do we fund? How do we get the 50 million if we don't pass this finance bill? Honorable Speaker, the issue of CDF, all of us from this aisle, from the opposition, supported the increment in CDF. Honorable Speaker, if we don't have enough money to support that increment, how shall we as a country or as members of parliament get that particular funding? Honorable Speaker, on the issue of JS internships, Honorable Speaker, there has been demonstration outside there. The internship teachers have been saying they want to be confirmed. Honorable Speaker, I sit in the Committee of Education and Research of this House. Honorable Speaker, point of order. Honorable Speaker, in this budget, we have allocated...
Yes, what is the point of order? From your neighbor?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order number 91. Is it in order for the honorable member to mislead the House that the budget proposed an increment on CDF, yet we know CDF is a percentage of the collection?
Honorable Speaker, it is not rocket science that the constituencies are receiving depending on the number of wards, but this time round we have an increment of 30 million per constituency. Honorable Speaker, that is not rocket science. It is an increment that has been reflected in the budget, and therefore it must be funded. Finally, Honorable Speaker, even though I support this bill, there has been hue and cry outside there. Honorable Speaker, it is incumbent upon the executive to ensure that money collected in this year's financial bill. Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Timothy. Wanjala Raphael. But my card is here. The card is here.
Wanjala shall be heard in silence so that he can be able to be silent when others speak.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to oppose this motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, this finance bill of 2024, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024, Mr. Speaker, I'm also cognizant to the fact that this bill went through the first reading on 13th May 2024 and was committed to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for Consideration Committee and reporting to the House under the provision of Standing Order number 127. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm also cognizant of the fact that this bill has 65 clauses and seeks to amend laws on matters such as the Income Tax Act, Cap 47, One, the value added tax, Cap 476, the Excise Duty Act, the Tax Procedures Act, Cap 469, among others. And Mr. Speaker, you have heard some members saying that if we oppose this bill and it collapses, they say then we will not be able to collect taxes. I want to inform the members that if this bill collapses, we already still have a bill in force of 2023 that will continue. What we are only doing is that we are amending. It's not that there is no another bill. We are just amending the previous bill. Therefore, when this one collapses, members, there is nothing that has gone wrong. We will still continue. And that is what some of us are praying for. Because, Mr. Speaker, you are also aware that last financial year, 2023, we have a bill that was supposed to collect over 350 billion. Now, in this one, 2024, we are proposing 2024-2025 to get additional revenue of 302 point something billion. But even the other 352, Mr. Speaker, we were not able to collect. So I don't know why this government of Kenya Kwisha, sorry, Kenya Kwanza, they are too over-ambitious to do what they may not be able to attain. Mr. Speaker, sir, even though these measures might be part of the general effort to enhance domestic resources, mobilization and reducing dependence on foreign aid, as they have always said, and loans, and yet, to us, we know very well that this is the government that within less than 2 years, they have borrowed more than any other government, although they claim not to have been borrowing. It should be done with the sensitivity required and the necessary understanding of the economic situation that Kenyans, situation of the common mwananchi is already shouldering a heavy cost of living in this country.
Member for Changamwe, what's out of order?
Is it in order for the Honorable MP, who is actually a member who has been here for quite a long time, he's actually reading instead of debating.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Changamwe. I was actually about to bring it to the attention of Honorable Raphael Wanjala that it is out of order to read a speech in the guise of a debate. And you are a very senior member of the House. You know the standing orders. You can make reference to some aid memoir, but you cannot read a speech the way you are reading a speech. It is not maiden either. Yes, go ahead and debate the bill. Wanjala.
Mr. Speaker, actually, I'm not reading, I'm referring.
You are reading, but go on now.
Mr. Speaker, and you also didn't ask him which standing order. That is the biasness we are talking about.
Yes, Kimani, order, Wanjala.
Is it in order, Honorable Speaker, for the Honorable Wanjala to misinform this House that even if the budget, even if the finance bill were not to be passed, then the budget process would still continue? And he quotes the Constitution. So, Article 220 of the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, on the form and content and timing of budgets, says 1, budgets of the national and county government shall contain A, estimates of revenue and expenditure differentiating between recurrent and development expenditures. B, proposals for financing any anticipated deficit for the period to which they apply. Therefore, it is a constitutional requirement that when a budget is tabled, there must be the supply side of that expenditure as proposed on Article 220 of our Constitution.
Yes, Wanjala.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not opposed to what he is saying. What we are doing, we are just amending. And when you are amending and a section you have amended collapses, the other act still continues. That's what I said. These are just newcomers. They don't know how these things happen.
My husband.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we know this government promised a lot, just like the previous governments have been promising Kenya that there will be industrialization in this country. And yet, there's nothing they're doing towards industrializing this country, but they have kept on telling us stories and they keep on collecting money, a lot of money, and we don't even see the value of that money where it goes, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, even yesterday, what we saw in this country, Mr. Speaker, you know very well some of us were in the struggle from 1992, and we did away with the police state. But yesterday, what happened in this country was a police state, where police were mobilized to beat innocent young boys and girls who are just asking for the right, who had a right to picket, to demonstrate, and to petition. Where are we taking this country? And yet, we are proud that our generation is now the one that is ruling. Yet, they are taking us back to where we came from, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the current government that it should not harass Kenyans when they ask for what is right for them. They should consider and look at. They should not just thump. They should listen to members of parliament. This committee is just...
Thank you, Honorable Wanjala. And the lesson you learned today is you can see how nice it is to speak without anybody heckling at you. You have enjoyed speaking today, so give that enjoyment to others when they speak. Member for Nyeri Town.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the finance bill as amended by the proposal or by the report of the Finance Committee. And I urge the chair of the Finance Committee to ensure that by 1 o'clock tomorrow, all the amendments that the committee has proposed are rightfully before this House. Mr. Speaker, I have spoken to the people of Nyeri Town who elected me. I started with the Archbishop Muheria of the Nyeri Archdiocese, who even gave me the report that he presented before the Committee of Finance during the public participation. And Mr. Speaker, I have spoken...
Order, Madenge, what is out of order? Honorable, is it Masara?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Honorable Masara.
Mr.
What?
Speaker, the member is out of order because we cannot call, I'm a Catholic by faith. The bishop cannot come and confirm to us in this house that the member of parliament talked to him. So, under Standing Order 91.
Order, Honorable
Mr.
Masara.
Speaker.
Order. Do you have any information to the contrary? He says he spoke to a bishop in his constituency. What's wrong with that?
Mr. Speaker, under 91.
Order, Masara, you are out of order.
Okay.
He is not even using the bishop as an authority to advance his argument. He's just saying he spoke to him. Go on, Madenge.
Honorable Speaker, I have spoken to my constituents in the market in Nyeri Town. I have spoken to my constituents in Gatito location. I have spoken to my constituents in Rolingo occasion, and I have listened to their proposals and their objections to the finance bill as originally tabled in this House. Their concerns have been adequately addressed in the report tabled by the Finance Committee in this House. And as a result, Mr. Speaker, all the JSS teachers in the 43 primary schools in the constituency who had been requesting me for permanent, for PNP employment, I can today proudly in this House confirm to them that through the funds raised using this finance bill, their employment is guaranteed. I can confirm to the doctors who went on strike in this country over money for interns and their collective bargaining agreement that was not implemented, that the promise given to them will be funded through this finance bill. I can confirm to the coffee farmers of Nyeri and Mount Kenya region that the debt write-off that has been promised by the government, the funds will be raised using this finance bill. Mr. Speaker, the executive brought their proposal to this House. This House has the mandate to look at the proposals by the executive and either agree with them, reject them, or amend. It is incumbent among us tomorrow, if you do give direct that way, Mr. Speaker, that we exercise our mandate as a House and contribute towards the advancement of this country in terms of the budget that we passed in this House. Mr. Speaker, we started by passing the budget policy statement that indicated that we would have increased expenditure this financial year. Where did we expect the money to come from? If, when the proposals are brought to us, then all we are doing is saying reject in its totality. A lot of the young men who sent messages to my phone, I engaged them and asked them to specify the particular sections of the bill that they wanted me to say no to. A lot of them just kept saying reject in totality, meaning they had actually not interacted with the document, but they have been fed to believe that this finance bill had nothing good for this country. On the contrary, none of these members has rejected the increase in the CDF allocation in the constituencies. None of these members has rejected the employment of the JSS teachers in their constituencies. None of these members has objected to the payment of the doctors' salaries as promised during their strike. Honorable Speaker, I sit in the Health Committee. We have proposed to implement UHC. None of these members have opposed the provision of improved health services for our people. Honorable Speaker, I support.
Yes, ma'am, what is the problem?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to seek your clarity on whether we are discussing the budget or the finance bill.
They are contemporaneous processes. TJ Kajwang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When many people have spoken, as a ranking member, I do not want to repeat what people have said here.
So you surrender the...
Nor do I want to, not surrender, I will not surrender at the time, but nor do I want to bore you with a lot of unnecessary information. But Mr. Speaker, sir...
yes, Honorable Zambia.
On a point of
What
order.
is out of order? Hold your horses. Give Honorable Zambia the mic. Give him the mic. Give him the mic. You can. There you are.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm not out of order, but I wanted to remind you that I've been seated here since morning, and when I checked on the screen there, it was almost number 2.
Order.
So I'm worried that...
Order, Honorable Zambia, take your seat. I have also been sitting here since morning, Honorable Zambia. So have all these members. This system has been malfunctioning. It brings your names, then it erases them. So I have also been exercising discretion, sometimes to balance the house, gender, youth, and so on. You will speak. If we don't speak today, I'll be here at 9:30 in the morning. And I can give you an undertaking, if you are here, I'll start with you. Kajwang? No, I didn't.
Mr. Speaker, Article 221 that was quoted by the chair of the Finance Committee is very clear that the financial documents must be before the House 2 months before the time that they relate. When you look at 221, in fact, starting from 220, 221, and 223, you get the impression that the Constitution anticipated that these documents would have to be reconsidered in one set. Now, there was a BPS which was presented to this House, in which the minister expressed the fundamentals upon which this budget was drawn, and therefore the Finance Act or the Finance Bill. Now, when you see that Finance Bill was predicated upon the BPS, when now we see the report of the Finance Committee, you will see that almost 18 articles or clauses are designed to be changed. And you can do the math, and my friend was telling me that it is something in the tune of 300 or so billion shillings. The point I make is that the alterations which are being done, whether right or wrong, are such that they fundamentally and substantially change the architecture of the financial bill, which was predicated upon the BPS. Now, that is a constitutional and public finance construct that we have to call the minister and even we as National Assembly, because this is our process, the budgeting process. That is the first point I want to put. And so when we say that the details are good, or we are changing things and so on, then think of, if anything else, a constitutional construct which must guide the budgeting process. And members of the public are entitled that we do good governance and follow the constitutional principles, number one. Number two, somebody said, and this is the only point I want to repeat, somebody saying it is giving with the right hand and taking from the left hand. You can still work the maths and see the amount that is said to be given out, in this bread tax and so on, which is being made right by the committee. You will still see that in actual fact, that amendment which is seeking to introduce RLMF is substantial enough to absorb all these things that they are bringing. And let me tell you, Kenyans, you are not going to pay fuel. It is not going to be more expensive. What these people are timing is your electricity. It is your electricity. It is that amount which shows every day on your electricity bill, which supports the extraction of power, generation of power. That is what this thing will be all about. And so when you think about all these things, it is, and Honorable Nikal told me, and it was from very good authority from his own wife, who is a professor also, Vice Chancellor. He told me that this budget is a decoy. It is a decoy. It is made to look like, it is like a glass. And yet deep inside it, it has done even worse than it should have been. But now you are being told that we are very, we like the public, we listened to you, and we have changed. Nothing has changed. And the last thing is, when we will come to the appropriation, the only two things which will happen, either they will amend the Appropriation Act to be able to absorb this, or they will borrow more. And so Kenyans will be even in a deeper shit. Oh, no, that is not parliamentary. I'm sorry. Parliament will be in a deeper hole. That hole, that big hole, that you...
Thank you. Munyori. Give the mic to Honorable Munyori.
Munyoro. Munyoro. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I appreciate the honor of getting this opportunity to speak. First, Honorable Speaker, let me say I'm a member of the Finance and National Planning Committee, and we did a lot of work to come up with these amended proposals for the finance bill. And I would also like to appreciate our secretariat, because they do a lot of work. They've had sleepless nights. We have one of them here who's he's been here since morning. And I rise to support these amended proposals for the finance bill. One of the reasons is very simple. I've listened to a lot of people, even members of parliament, who do not seem to understand that the bill comes from Treasury to Parliament. So it's not our bill. What our role is as members of the Finance Committee is to receive the bill, do public participation, and then incorporate that when we are writing the report. And when we are writing the report, we go clause by clause. So each clause that is in the bill, we've gone through it, we've looked at the messages and information that we got from the public, and then we are able to do the report. One of the reasons I support the bill is the issue of we had issues with avocado farmers from the last finance bill when they were told that they should need to register for ETIMs. And I'm happy that clause 51 and by extension clause 57 is coming to rectify that process so that any farmer who is having a gross turnover of less than 1 million shillings per year is not eligible to register for ETIMs. I'm also happy that we've removed tax on craft paper because our tea uses this paper for packaging, and that will go a long way in ensuring that our tea is competitive and farmers get their rightful money. The other issue, I think, is the issue of allowable, that is the housing levy, social health insurance, and NSSF, which were previously not allowable, and they are now allowable in the pay slips. And if you look at your pay slips, initially you'd get the payee before you get those three deducted. So that means that they'll be deducted first, and this is for all employees, which is putting more money because the payee will be less there. The issue of borders. I'm happy that we'll be able to assemble our borders here, and I know, because that is a very large community, and we've been here discussing helping the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, is that we expect that the cost of borders will be less, and that they'll be able to encourage more of youngsters who want to go in self-employment, get the same income. When you look at the appropriations bill, I think it is fair, because I know in this parliament we're able to know that we will get money for our Mau roads which have stalled, and for my people in my constituency, I think this is a very good thing, and that's why I intend to pass the bill. I know we've also been allocated money for electrification, which is 50 million for each constituency, and I'm happy that as well for my constituency. I know we are also getting more money for the coffee cherry fund, and I think for all coffee farmers, this is a plus, because we need to get to support our farmers, and this is coming as a result of the finance bill. So without the finance bill, I think we cannot be able to do what we are planning to do. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, the issue of KRA, there was a proposal by KRA, and I've had it mentioned here. We've proposed that the KRA cannot be able to access data, and this is our report. So there is a member of parliament who said something about the same, and I would like to say that in the proposal, we rejected that, where they wanted to access all our data, all our information, our electricity bills. They wanted to access everything. And I say, we need to go through this report. Lastly, I had a very good proposal from a member of parliament who is proposing that because you are trying also, when you are doing the report, to know how you can be able to differentiate between hatching eggs and table eggs. That proposal, you need to bring that amendment. Bring it to the House so that you know if the people who are using the hatched eggs, they are able to show that they use the eggs for hatching and for chicks. So I wish you bring it, and I know as members who are reasonable, we'll be able to adopt it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Zambia. Give Honorable Zambia the mic.
Give me the mic.
Pardon?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving this opportunity to contribute to this finance bill. Honorable Speaker, let me first start by appreciating the Finance Committee. Though I may not be a good economist, but I'm a good mathematician. Honorable Speaker,
The essence of this bill is to make the life of Kenyans bearable. Honorable Speaker, I want to consider, we appreciate that they considered the motor vehicle tax, edible oil tax. Considering that amendment, which brings to around 76 billion. Honorable Speaker, as I have told you, I'm not bad in mathematics. This certain amount of money have been hidden in another aspect of taxing Kenyans more. Honorable Speaker, by adding 70%, 7 shillings in fuel levy, it means that, Honorable Speaker, already we moved from 8% to 16% in VAT in terms of fuel
Honorable
levy.
Zambia, you have 3.5 minutes left. So tomorrow morning we'll start with you. Members, you may be upstanding. Honorable members, order. Honorable members, it's now 9 p.m. The House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 20th June 2024, at 9:30 a.m. Honorable members, we have quorum to transact business. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
Where is the message? All the honorable members on their feet, take your seats. Wamaua, take the nearest seat, at least for now. Order. Honorable members, I have a message from the Senate on the passage of 3 Senate bills and 2 National Assembly bills. Honorable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41-4, I wish to report to the House that I have received 5 messages from the Senate regarding passage of 3 Senate bills and 2 National Assembly bills. The first message conveys that on 11th June 2024, the Senate considered and agreed to the National Assembly amendments to the Count Licensing Uniform Procedure Senate Bill number 9 of 2022. You will recall that on 2nd May 2024, this House passed the said bill with amendments, following which I refer the schedule of the National Assembly amendments to the Senate for consideration in accordance with Article 110(4) of the Constitution. Honorable members, the concurrence of the Senate with the National Assembly on the bill concludes the bicameral consideration of the bill under Article 110 of the Constitution. The second message conveys that on 11th June 2024, the Senate considered and passed the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, Senate Bill number 19 of 2024, with amendments. The said bill seeks to provide the additional allocations to county governments for the financial year 2024-25 and the responsibilities of national government and county government pursuant to such allocations. Honorable members, the third message conveys that on 11th June 2024, the Senate passed the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024 with amendments. This annual bill seeks to provide for the equitable allocation of revenue raised nationally among the county governments for the financial year 2024-25 and the responsibilities of national and county governments. Honorable members, having passed the 2 bills, the 2 Senate bills, the Senate now seeks the concurrence of the National Assembly pursuant to the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution. Honorable members, the centrality of the said bills in the budget process and the prescribed statutory timelines calls for their expedited passage. In this regard, you will notice that I have directed the clerk to list the 2 bills for first reading under orders number 10 and 11 in the supplementary order paper for today, Tuesday, 18 June 2024. Thereafter, both bills will stand committed to the Budget and Appropriations Committee for consideration. I urge the committee to prioritize the bills and report to the House as soon as is practicable to enable the House to proceed with the next stage of the bills. The fourth and fifth messages, honorable members, conveys that on 11th June 2024, the Senate considered and passed the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2023, and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2024 with amendments. The Senate has now referred the two bills back to the National Assembly for consideration pursuant to Article 112(1)(b) of the Constitution. Honorable members, this House is therefore required to consider Senate amendments to the two bills. In this regard, I direct the clerk to circulate the schedule of the Senate amendments to the two bills to all members. Thereafter, the Senate amendments to the Statutory Instruments Amendments Bill 2023 will stand referred to the Committee on Delegated Legislation, while the Senate amendments to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Bill 2024 will stand referred to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. The two committees are expected to expedite consideration of the Senate amendments to their respective bills and submit their reports to the House. Aware of the nature of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendments Bill, I direct that the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs should table its report on Thursday this week, the 20th June 2024, during the morning sitting. The House is accordingly guided. Thank you.